deposit. It has this overlap of the the urine being created through filtration, and then it has an overlap of a second capillary bed. So conceptually, sometimes it's hard for people to get a hold of, which is one of the more confusing of this group. Okay, so there you go. Any questions about the renal system? That's a mess. We're good? All right. So moving on to the digestive system, this becomes more or less not easy, but this is identification. Okay, the guy standing here, boom, pointing at the stomach, okay, pointing at the liver, pointing at the gallbladder. Not really crazy hard. Okay, I don't often point at the pancreas because it's tucked in there and you only see a little bit. It's actually posterior. It's very deep to the stomach, and so it's a little bit of a delusion, to think that you'll get it exactly right. If you have a question about it, ask me. No big deal. I won't put the spleen on there. Okay, the spleen won't be a question. It's not a component of the digestive system. It just happens to be in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so that thing that's superior and on the left. So in the hypogastric or hypochondriac region on the left, that's your spleen. Okay, that big old thing hanging out in the posterior aspect of the protein cavity. Not going to be on the test. If I was to, then pursue something like a question about the lymphatic system, what is the quadrant or what is the location of the spleen? The right hypogastric region, or a whole bunch of different names, and you'll pick left hypochondriac region. So you may be asking something about where it is, okay? But I wouldn't ask you, where it is on a diagrammatic fashion. Okay? Most of the lymph questions will be conceptual. It's just going to be, I'm not labeling anything, it's not anything geographic, okay? So, digestive system is pretty easy that way. Endocrine system, okay. Big stuff. So, pointing at, where are these things is the major question, okay? That's the major question for these. The pituitary gland, okay, and the hypothalamus, they're joined together. So that's a tough circle. Okay? Pineal gland, I would expect you to get that one right without asking too many questions. It sits posterior and superior to the thalamus. It's in a pretty distinct place. Okay? If I was going to ask you about the pituitary gland, I would try and make it more clear. Okay? But just in saying that, I don't want to have to run around the room and answer 50 questions for 80 people because it's unclear. Okay? So I think that you'll get enough questioning on the pituitary gland otherwise. Okay? But to say that the thyroid gland, pretty easy to to put in place. Parathyroid gland sits posterior. Right? Thymus, sits in the superior mediastinum, pretty easy to tag. All right. Adrenal glands sits superior and medial on the kidneys, pretty easy to tag. Distinct location. Okay. Ovaries, they sit in the pelvic cavity. Testes sit outside the pelvic cavity. So again, pretty easy differentiation between them. Pancreas is also located. They show it superior, to the adrenal glands. Okay, not or even with the adrenal glands in the diagram, I think, and not that far. Okay, in terms of overall location. If you know your stuff, there will be no question. You'll be pointing there. The only thing there is the pancreas. The only thing there on top of the kidneys are the adrenal glands. Okay, so basically where? Then ask. We had the endocrine system as the glands. Okay, what do they secrete? We removed basically target organs. Okay, so those target cells or target organs. I just said put a line through it. I don't need you to know exactly what they're affecting. So growth hormone, liver, muscle, this, that. You don't need to know that. What does growth hormone do? It grows stuff. Okay. What does thyroid stimulating hormone do? It stimulates the thyroid. That's great. Okay. But in terms of overall function, the endocrine system we didn't spend that much time on. Okay. I'll spend more time on other questions. Okay. If you didn't know the hormones and what the gland's function is, you'd probably be just fine. I'm not going to overburden you with a whole bunch of endocrine system questions. There's a total of 6 questions on this test, and they are, you know, you have to imagine that I'm probably gonna, if I'm gonna put a diagram on here, I'm probably gonna have 3 or 4 on there, right? So that is one thing that you can kind of keep in mind. So endocrine gland name, its location, so what is it and where is it? And then, you know, what does it secrete, okay? And its secretion is basically its function. Okay? Male or female repro, again, just follow the flow of the sperm or the egg out of the gonads. So with the testes, and I don't know how you, if you want to draw it, okay? So I have my seminiferous tubules inside the testes, goes over to the epididymis, okay? So then they learn how to swim in there, and it'll go up the ductus deferens, okay? Kind of slips anterior, goes around, joins up with my seminal vesicle at something called the ejaculatory duct, and that lies within the prostate gland, and then the prostate gland and out. Well, that's really low. Let's put that. So out the prostate gland and through the urethra and out. So it doesn't make much sense, okay, to anybody else other than the person that draws it. But still, if you're able to draw it or you're able to picture it, you're going to be able to name it a little bit better. So seminiferous tubules in the testis to the epididymis. They learn how to swim there. This is a little training pool, okay? So they mature. They're swimming here, goes into the, during ejaculation, goes into the ductus deferens. You know them as the vas deferens. We'll use ductus deferens because that's what the textbook says. The ductus deferens are smooth muscle. So undergoes smooth muscle contraction, which we call peristalsis, moves it along, okay? It joins up with the seminiferous, or the seminal vesicle. The seminal vesicle puts 75% of the solution in there, joins up at the ejaculatory duct. The ejaculatory duct goes posterior, anterior through the prostate gland. The prostate gland puts about 25% of the volume in there. That prostate gland has the urethra running through it. We call it the prostatic urethra, and then on out through the penis, which is the urethra continued. If you want to remember the bulbourethral glands on either side, they secrete 5% of the solution into the urethra as smooth muscle contractions occurring, and that helps neutralize any excess urine or leftover urine in there. Okay? So again, I'm drawing something. It makes 0 sense to anybody except the person who draws it. Okay? So it will help you remember in another mode, another method. Okay? And if you want extra paper, bring it, or I'll have some up here. The likelihood is that I'll look at the paper before I let you say, hey, can I keep this here? So male, follow it through, okay? And in explaining it to someone else, okay, you can basically learn it a little bit better. If you can teach somebody something, and you actually know it well enough that you'll probably answer any questions I give you, okay? Female reproductive, I have a little almond-sized thing called an ovary, okay? We didn't get into primary follicle, secondary follicle, Graafian follicle. I mentioned those terms and names so that you could look at the book and know what you're looking at in terms of the slide. Very recognizable on the slide, okay? So when we have it upstairs, where is it? Where did this come from, okay? We had the testes, which were very, the seminiferous tubules, very characteristic, okay? A whole bunch of, they look like almost modified cuboidal cells, okay? And then they have all those little stringy things into the middle or of the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. Those are the sperm, okay? Those are the flagella. This is what's producing the sperm. In the ovary, we had, you can see a whole bunch of, out on the outer border of the ovary, we had a whole bunch of primary follicles. You can see them as they increased. There are tissues surrounding them. Those are the secondary follicles. They have, if we continued on, we would say they've undergone meiosis 1. They are ready to be released as the Graafian or the vesicular follicle. That is a very characteristic structure in any one of the slides that we've ever looked at. There isn't any other slide that has anything that looks like a Graafian follicle. Okay? So if I put it upstairs, it'll have that on it. Okay? You'll look at it and you'll be 10 seconds. Well, that's an ovary for sure, because it's very characteristic. So then we had it being released. If the egg's released, okay,